Welcome to Monday Jazz and Conversation, presented by a collaboration of 4 nonprofit organizations: Gold Coast Jazz Society, South Florida Jazz, Sunshine Jazz Organization, and the Miami Jazz Cooperative, all of whom are dedicated to bringing jazz to South Florida audiences. Each Monday, Wendy Peterson and Nick Yorda feature the music and talk to the country's most talented and interesting jazz musicians.
So we welcome Ira from his home in Miami to celebrate his 89th birthday with us online. Hello, Ira Sullivan! Happy birthday!
Hey.
Hello.
Ladies and gentlemen, the amazing Nicole Henry. Woo!
Hello.
So, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome John Fedchuk to the hang.
Hi, everybody. Great to be here.
The amazing and beautiful and the world's best person, Brenda Alford.
Hi, Brenda.
Live up to that.
Okay, I got some living to do.
The very incredible guitar player, Mr. Go ahead, you do it.
Jonathan Kreisberg.
How are you?
Hi, guys. How's it going?
Please welcome to Jazz and Conversation the amazing Joe Donato. Joey D!
Hello.
How are you? I'm so
Good evening,
sad
ladies and
that
gentlemen.
we
This
gave
is
you
Ralph
stress.
Edwards, and tonight it's Joe Donato. This is your life.
And now, the hosts of Monday Jazz and Conversation, Wendy Peterson and Nick Yorda.
Hello.
Hi, everyone.
Happy Monday. I hope you've had a great week. We are turning the corner, right? Well, turning the corner is one of those weird phrases because
Yeah.
it's been used recently, but I'm thinking towards like Thanksgiving and the holidays.
The holidays are
'cause
pretty much here.
It's coming up. But anyway, it's Monday night. It's time to learn something new and fantastic about music and the personalities in our South Florida jazz world. We've got a double feature for you tonight.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, really excited to interview both Gary Keller and Troy Roberts. A couple of months ago, was it a couple of months ago? Probably a month and a half ago, we put together a tribute, a love letter to Ira Sullivan. And Troy and Gary put together a little something where they played just duo and a cappella. So I thought that would be a fitting way of starting the show. And then we will get down and dirty and just check in and meet and greet.
Yes.
So this is Troy Roberts and Gary Keller. All right, so
Oh, yeah.
let's say hello to Troy Roberts and Gary Keller.
Hey, guys.
Hello.
How you guys? How you guys doing?
Turning the
Well, It
Good.
is-
Thank you for having us.
You know, so many good phrases are tainted now. I've got to say.
it's true. It's true.
Stop playing with the.
I'm just
It's scary. It's like it's
the Brady Bunch.
Yeah.
Little Brady Bunch for you.
It feels like. Here's the story. How you guys doing?
Great.
Yeah, good. Chilling.
Yeah, I loved that the Amazing Grace, and I'm wondering, did you literally talk about it beforehand? Who was going to do the melody? Who was doing counterparts? Did you just
No,
go?
not really. Gary's just great at playing melodies, and I really love accompanying, so it just kind of worked out that way.
So you guys are just that good.
We ran through it once or twice.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, it's beautiful. It was beautiful. I really had a lot of fun listening to those, all of those clips that people sent in. Every single one of them was just amazingly beautiful. So that was
awesome. It was great.
quite
to
the
watch.
treat. You guys are staying well and safe in all of this?
Well, yes, especially right now.
Yeah.
Because you see we're in opposite rooms, and
that's
Troy's
true.
actually living in my house while he's in Miami teaching at the university. And he had a possible exposure. So
Oh, wow.
so he's confined to his bedroom.
You're confined.
And the backyard.
Yeah.
I
And
feel
this
like
is
I'm-
how
I
it's
feel
done,
like-
folks.
Yeah,
I
this
feel like
is
I'm
how
in
it's
high
done.
school. I got
You're-
in trouble.
It's
You're
time
grounded.
Right. Yeah, your chair's facing the wall.
Well, you guys are both teaching at University of Miami. And Troy, this is new, this is like brand new for you, correct?
Yeah, it's brand new for me. It's a 1-year contract, I guess. While they kind of solidify who they want for a more permanent position. It's a massive pool of very, very famous musicians going for it.
Yeah.
So, I'm honored to be here in this interim period. I'm having a blast.
Well, I think they're lucky to have you. I mean, the fact that you're out there doing it and traveling the world and making records and I just think it's a great example to set. And I think they I think they would be silly not to hire you, but I have no pull.
Well, wait till you see some of these other names.
Maybe
Oh, what's
so.
in a name?
Maybe so. But I'm going to say that, Gary, this is not new for you.
Oh, no.
You've been doing it for how long?
39 years.
Wow.
Yeah, since I was 28.
That like all of your adult life, pretty much. I mean,
Pretty much, yes.
Yeah.
It just happened to work out that way. I try not to make the story too long, but I was on the road after I got out of school with Woody Herman and did that for about a year, and it was fun, but I was away from home. And so when I got back, they had just hired somebody to replace the only other saxophone teacher at University of Miami from the beginning, who was Kirby Campbell, who was my teacher, great musician. And the person that they hired didn't work out too well, and I was kind of sitting there, and I'd been a TA, and I was known, and the job was kind of offered to me. So I took it, and I said I'd do it for a few years.
And you weren't lying.
And 39 years later, so I'm retiring at the end of this year.
it's like The Godfather. They keep sucking me back in.
Gary, did you always take to teaching?
I did, actually. And obviously, it's just been the part of my career that seems people come to me to study. Obviously, I think it's worked out pretty well. We've had a lot of great saxophone players go through the
Absolutely.
program. So I feel very comfortable teaching, and it's just the way it seems to work out that I worry more about my students than myself. I can't help it. So, but that'll change next year.
Yeah, I'm gonna say, do you think you'll miss it?
I will miss it. I'm sure I'll miss it. But I'm looking forward to having nothing on my plate except what I want to do.
Right. What do you want to do?
I want to play all the time, and I want to travel again more.
Yes.
Again, I can say again now.
Yeah.
Before I was going to say travel more, but I have friends all over the world. It's been fantastic, and I know teachers and musicians just everywhere. So, get out and just and do it.
Yeah.
Unencumbered by August to May.
Oh my gosh, that's so exciting.
Sounds like a plan.
I know, that
Yeah.
sounds like my dream also, for sure. Since you mentioned Woody Herman, maybe we should listen to a clip of, tell us about this clip. How old were you? And
I was I was lucky enough that when I graduated from UM, a friend of mine was the lead trumpet player on the band, and Joe Lovano had just retired, and actually another tenor player named Bob Belden had done the band for about 2 or 3 months, and then whatever. He wasn't into it. He had other things. You probably heard of him, a pretty well-known musician, and ended up doing a lot of other things. But so that was kind of my dream gig. That's something I always wanted to do. And there I was playing the third tenor chair in the Woody Herman band. And yeah, so I would have been 26, I think.
Wow.
25, yeah, 26.
So this clip is from 1980 at Knott's Berry Farm.
Yeah,
in
these things this
California.
just showed up on YouTube a little while back. Somebody videoed the whole concert.
Playing a nice, relaxed tempo.
Oh yeah, this was my spiel. I had to do this every night.
Oh, did you? Okay.
Yeah, that was part of that was the requirement of the third tenor chair.
Uh-huh. Check out Gary in action.
Oh dear.
Okay then.
Fond memories, yeah. Oh, dear.
That is so crazy.
No, I like this comment. You should be
Oh
named
my
Gary Killer.
Alex Melia.
I've heard that. I've
Very
heard that a few
nice.
times.
That is so fun. I love that.
Yeah.
Wow.
Rick had a question.
Oh yeah. So Rick has a question: is how did Gary,
both.
for both of you guys? How did you guys end up at U of M to study?
Well, we had an agreement, the university with the school that Troy went. Oh, how did I end up or Troy end up?
Yeah. Well, both of you, but you can go first.
Well, I came to Miami because, first of all, it was one of the only places to go to school in 1978. It was Miami and North Texas and
For jazz.
and Eastman for jazz, yeah.
Yeah.
And also a tenor player from my hometown, Buffalo, Eric Traub, had been down here, and he had just graduated. And he was a big influence on me, before I moved down here. So I kind of followed in his footsteps. I was not the first guy from Buffalo, but the second. And Troy, you can tell how you ended up here.
Oh yeah. Well,
First of all, for those who haven't figured it out, Troy is from Australia.
Yes.
That's true.
it's true.
So it's a bit of a hike.
Contrary to the belief of flat earthers, Australia does exist, and I'm not a highly paid actor paid by NASA.
You've got the accent down.
A colleague of mine, one of my dear friends, Jeremy Gregg, he's a trombone player. He had come over to the University of Miami to do a master's. I think maybe 10 years before me, maybe 5. So he was telling me about it, and the head of the jazz department during my undergrad had set up this exchange program with the University of Miami, and I was the first to do it. So that's how I first came over, and then fast forward another 3 years, I came back and did a master's for real.
That's great.
Yeah,
And was my TA.
yeah, that's right.
We have a comment from Philip Lakofsky that says, Gary also kills it on legit sax. He's played all the big orchestral works with the best classical groups down here. Prokofiev, Ravel, Rachmaninoff. And we did during our little tech rehearsal, we did talk a little bit about you and playing legit sax. So, do you have a preference? Do you like both? Is it all just the same?
In some ways, it's all just the same, but I have to say that I had my undergraduate degree. Back then, everybody played classical there, unless you went to University of Miami, which I didn't for undergraduate. So I had some experience, but I got a call from the Philharmonic to do some of the saxophone parts, and then the first one was actually the most legit of legit. It was the opera Hamlet with the Florida Grand Opera, which was written in the 19th century, I believe, in the late 1800s. And that went well, and then they started calling me for about 15 years, from 85 until the orchestra folded. Unfortunately, I did all the saxophone work with the Florida Philharmonic, from the legit of legit to the jazz of the jazz.
That's so cool.
But I never really pursued too much being a classical soloist. A few pieces, concertos I played. But I enjoyed doing the excerpts with the orchestra, and I think they liked having me. It was fun.
Yeah.
And I love those people. Thank you, Phil. Great guy.
So the big question for all of our guests: how did you get started? Gary, you have seniority here, so we'll toss them out to you first.
Too much seniority.
So someone in the audience specifically asked for a Troy.
A high school. I heard the saxophone. I came up, as a child of the 50s and a high schooler of the 60s and a college student of the 70s. So there was a lot of jazz in the commercial music that you heard on TV when I came up, and I remember the Tonight Show band, and I remember all the pop bands had horn sections, and something about the saxophone just grabbed me. So when they asked what instruments you wanted to play in 5th grade, I said saxophone, and lucky enough, I was near the head of the line because everybody wants to play saxophone, and some people don't get to. So and I pursued it through high school, and just high school band geek,
Right.
And we had some bands that we played in. By the time I was a junior, we were playing dances and stuff, and
Right.
and we had a blues band, and that kind of stuff. And then when I was about a junior, I decided this is something that I would really like to do, so I applied and went to music school. And then
So let's
just
take
kinda
a look
went
at
from there.
a few
Oh boy.
early picks here. This one is going to require some investigative work.
Oh my God. What's this going to be? Oh,
This is 1st or 2nd grade,
yeah.
and I'm not going to even try and guess which one you are.
Oh, it's not too hard, but I don't know why I happen to be the one in the center in the first row, but that's me.
Oh.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
you have the plaid?
Yep, the plaid shirt.
Yeah.
Yeah. And as you can see, I came from a very diverse background.
Yeah. Where were you born and raised?
I was in a suburb of Western New York, Buffalo, which is
Okay.
more like Ohio than New York City, Western New York. And so, yeah, I was, from the land of Smith and Taylor and, all those names. And
Right.
I did always have, when I got a fascination for jazz, then African American music, really fascinated me. And as soon as I got my driver's license, I was headed into the city to start going to the clubs and,
Right.
Right.
to try to meet and hang out with some of these people.
Sure.
But yeah, and it
And,
was an interesting time without getting into all of that. But the
Right.
60s and
Oh yeah.
Yep.
yeah,
So fast forwarding to high school,
the
You're-
high school band
according to this, you're in the 3rd row somewhere.
up in right in front of the tuba. I'm not playing first saxophone either. I think I was the second.
Wow.
And then I
but
have
you-
here, yeah, sorry, go ahead.
You see me. I'm to the second, the last row, second to the second from the right. I have
Okay.
hair. It's really different.
It's hard to recognize anybody when they, with the hair when you're so used to them without.
And we have your first wedding band. Now,
Yeah,
this
oh
is
my
quite
God.
the picture.
Yes.
Yeah.
That was before Miami too. The first wedding band, exactly what it was.
You've got the hair and the beard.
Yeah, we had to have that, and the tie. And
Yeah,
the
that's-
ruffled tux shirt.
I love the expression of the guy at the very top of the picture. That's not creepy.
He's like,
Very good drummer. His name was John Alfieri. I
Okay.
don't know what became of him. And the person opposite me with the dark hair is Jay Bianchi, who's a professional pianist in New York and teaches at the New School, and one of my oldest friends, in music. We've known each other since almost since high school.
Very cool.
Yeah.
And I'm just jumping around here.
Oh, so this is in Miami, and this is a guy named Mike Gillis,
Yeah.
who had, I don't know who remembers him, but he had a top 40 band, and we played. And Mike Horrible is still in town, and Elliot Lawrence, I don't know what became of Elliot, and Jack Chiano's in the back.
Oh my
And
gosh.
that's right. And Al Hospers is the bass player. Elliot Lawrence, I said. I forgot the pianist's name. I'm sorry. He wasn't a full-timer. He had a day gig. And
It was 1979. It's
it was
okay.
1979, and we played at a club called Bananas in Coconut Grove.
Okay.
And almost, for 3 of the 4 semesters I was a graduate student, I worked with this band in Bananas 5 nights a week, and sometimes I worked in the off-night band the other 2. So talk about a lot of gigs, yeah.
And that's what you hear time and time again when you talk about people in the 70s and really even the 80s and how much work there was. And like you could work every single night. You could do doubles, do one gig and then go to the do a Latin gig at 2 that started at 2 in the morning.
Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't whether you were working, it was where you were working and who you
Yeah.
were working with, but everybody was working.
I know.
Amazing.
What a time.
Yeah.
And then getting us right back to Woody Herman, I like this pick that you sent because it's got a Where's Waldo vibe to it.
Yeah, we played the President Reagan's inaugural ball. Actually, it was at the Hilton. It was the same hotel he got shot at.
Yeah,
about
actually,
3
here's
or
a
4 months
picture
later.
of Reagan
Yeah.
and Nancy.
From my seat, and he was a friend of Woody's, and I looked out in the crowd and I saw one of my bandmates out in the crowd, and I said, "Hey, John," and he looked this way, and there he is. You see him?
Right in the middle of the picture.
Right in the middle of the picture, John Fedchuk.
Oh, that's so funny.
Yeah.
And here's a great pick. You guys clearly had first class tour stuff.
Oh yeah, that's John too.
On the bus.
Yes, we were on the bus collecting Happy Meal. Yes, we ate at McDonald's a lot. Went with the paycheck.
Did you like the road, bus tours and all that?
It was fun. It was my first time, we went around the country and Canada like 3 times, so I was in every city enough
Wow.
times, and it was a lot of fun because I'd never been any of those places. But it got old, and we played a lot of dances and a lot of long bus rides. Although we didn't always sleep, hardly ever slept on the bus, thank goodness. But but then there'd be a great gig. You'd be doing Scullers in Boston, or you'd be doing the Playboy Jazz Festival, or you'd be doing the Great American Music Hall in San Francisco. But then the next night you're doing the VHW post, in
Yeah.
some little town, and but it was fun, and it's fun to be in a band that plays every single night because there's nothing to do but see if you can make it even better the next night,
Right.
and it gets really tight. But Troy will tell you about that.
Yeah. Well,
He's
before
doing
we
that now.
before we take a look at some early picks of Troy, well, let's listen to something that you did with the UM faculty, and you're just killing on this. On It's You or No One.
Oh,
So Keller.
oh, sure.
go right there.
You
Excellent.
know, one too many courses, right?
No, not by a long shot.
Oh, thank you.
You need to have
very, very good company.
Well, I was gonna say,
Oh,
yeah,
right.
yeah. The rhythm sections are like, just the whole group is just really full of sorry, musicians right there.
Right. That's fantastic. So that brings us to this.
Yes,
Whoa!
look
Seen that
at
one.
that. We're digging the alfalfa hair vibe. With
It
the,
never
with the
went
one,
down.
So is that why you cut it all off?
Is that why you shaved?
Oh man.
Oh my gosh! How old are you in this picture?
I don't know. It must have been 4. Looks
Adorable.
like kindergarten.
Adorable.
And when did you first develop an interest, in music, and was sax the first choice?
Sax was the first choice. I was always fascinated with the bass, but it never happened in my youth. I saw a family friend's high school graduation concert, and the jazz band played, and the sax player did a solo. I think I was about 12 or 11. And I remember nagging my parents for what I thought was called a trumpet for about a year. And they thought, oh, expensive hobby, let's see if he's still nagging us in a year. So a year later, I was still asking him for it. So found out it was called a saxophone. And my dad got me my first horn. And I kind of never lost the bug. I think I was about 13, just before I turned 13.
That's amazing. And it was the minute you got it, you knew it, huh?
Yeah, I just kind of got obsessed with it. Yeah, I kind of followed my brother around with like everything he used to do. I got into basketball. He was really good at basketball. We both played cricket as kids. We both did swimming, martial arts. He went on to become a black belt, 6th Dan in Kushinryu Ninjutsu, but I kind of fell off all of those things. Nothing really clicked with me, but when I started playing music, I just got obsessed with it.
So there you are, age 15, and
Looks like a gig.
Yeah, I was working gigs pretty regularly from the time I was 15 or just before I turned 15. Was fortunate to get in some really killing local top 40 bands. And
now who was your first teacher? Because I don't want to show this picture that you gave us until after we've heard about him.
Bill Lowen. He was this Dutch-German guy that lived down the street that my dad found. He got the contact from the guy who sold him the saxophone at the music store. And so, he gave me my very first lesson, like how to put the reed on the mouthpiece and everything. And I stuck with him. He was great. He was really stern, but he was a stern but quite a warm gentleman, and really kicked my butt.
And so you remained...
First lesson, he was like, "Don't waste my time or your dad's money."
I know. I had a teacher like that myself. Yeah,
Me too. I had one like that too.
I stuck with
I
him.
think they're the best. You know.
Yeah, absolutely. I stuck with him until I moved. I kind of always had lessons with him until I kind of got really busy doing my undergrad at WAPA.
So here's this lovely picture of you later on.
Right. So that was a visit home, which turned out timing-wise was perfect. This is actually in hospice.
Wow.
It was
Oh,
a couple
wow.
of days before he passed. And a nurse ended up calling my US number, asking for me, and she said, "I'm taking care of a gentleman who's on his last few days,
Wow.
and any last requests," and he asked me to contact you.
Oh
And
my
it turned out to
gosh.
be the week I was jumping a plane that day. And
That's amazing.
I managed to go and spend a couple of days with him before he passed.
Wow, what a great story.
Yeah, that is beautiful.
So let's listen to some of Troy. I'll show a couple clips in a row. We'll do the James Morrison one and then the International Jazz Day ones.
Okay.
Let me get to the James Morrison 1.
The way also, this is not by design, this is not a plan. I didn't go to Perth in search of talent. They all just happened to come from there. It's obviously something in the water or something else they're drinking over there, but there seems to be an awful lot of talent in Perth. This young man is from there too, and I met him a couple of years ago. He plays the tenor saxophone. He plays a few saxophones, but tonight just the tenor. And I do want to say that the tenor sax particularly, as a specific instrument, is one that players tend to fall into genres. They tend to sound like somebody or model someone. You get those guys that are into the John Coltrane sound, or they're into the Stan Getz sound, or they want to sound like Lester Young. And they have these sort of areas of jazz that they hone in on. I don't know why for that instrument, but that's very common. Even if they play their own thing, they use that sound. Well, this young man doesn't fall into that category. He plays across all. You'll hear those influences. They're all there. But at this very young age, he already has his own sound and his own way of playing. And it's very exciting. Would you please welcome Troy Roberts?
From all corners of the globe, please welcome on piano, Tarek Yamani from Lebanon, on bass, Richard Bona from Cameroon, on drums, Vinny Kolayuta from the United States, and on tablas, Zakir Hussain of India, on tenor sax, Troy Roberts from Australia, on alto sax, Tineke Postma from the Netherlands, and on soprano sax, my closest personal friend and collaborator, the legendary Wayne Shorter.
Yeah. So how was all of that? Were you starstruck at all, ever?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Well, you know, I always think of, it's always a weird thing being on stage with so many stars, whatever, jazz stars, or because it like it puts pressure on you, but at the same time, you kind of hope that they don't, everybody just doesn't like go nuts just because, like the name or this. I feel like it's a double-edged sword. I don't know if I'm making myself clear or not, but, like there's the pressure to like be a star. But at the same time, you're also part of an ensemble. Did you feel that at all, or?
No, I mean, I just kind of just take care of the music, keep my head in that. Yeah, I mean, all those people are just. I'm so fortunate that for the most part, everyone of that status that I've been around have just been so inclusive. Like, they're just cool people.
So exciting.
Which I appreciate more and more the older I get, because I realize not everyone's like that. So
Right.
Right.
Fortunate.
Yeah. In the first clip, he started talking about how you sound like yourself, which is just a great compliment. But I am wondering, for both of you, who are your influences? Like, who really kind of did you want to be when you were starting out?
When I was young, Stanley Tarantine, Blue Note Stanley Tarantine was it for me.
And actually,
For the most part.
one of mine too, for sure. I mean, the first person I actually heard, and that kind of influenced me was Eddie Harris, because I was listening to a Les McCann record, and then that led me to Thelonious Monk, which led me to Charlie Rouse, and I really liked his sound. And then Sonny Rollins and Coltrane and Stanley Turrentine, and then later on, Joe Henderson would be the guy that just interests, nothing he's ever done, as I found, not really, really attractive, just one of my favorite musicians ever.
Yeah.
And Dave Liebman was a big influence too, because I got to know him when I was very young, and a big influence actually. And Michael Brecker and all those guys from that period.
Well, one thing leads to another, right?
One thing really leads to another, and it happens very quickly,
Right. That is true.
Yeah.
It's amazing. And for you, anybody else other than Stanley Turrentine, or did you have more
Absolutely.
modern?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, my dad had always had great music playing in the house. He was, well, at first I hated jazz. My brother and I were into some terrible music, like Def Leppard and Poison and Bon Jovi, and then later on Belle Biv DeVoe and De La Soul, and which is not terrible.
Yeah.
But yeah, Dad was always playing this old fogey music that we were like, Dad, turn it off. That's not cool. And then, but I liked this Monin, Art Blakey and his jazz messengers.
Sure.
And Benny Golson's sound was just like, wow, I really loved it. So I took that CD to my room, but I still hated jazz, but I liked that album. And then it was the same with kind of blue. I was in love with So What, and then I was in love with Take 5 from Dave Brubeck, and it just grew from there. I learned about Charlie Parker, fell in love with that, Cannonball Adderley. I also had a Gerald Albright album, which I thought was amazing. On the smooth
It's
side.
interesting to me that you started from sort of the more traditional jazz. I came
my
to
dad
it
did
through
think of
the
that.
whole fusion thing, and then I worked my way back to, some of them were obviously influenced by guys that were doing mainstream Miles and whatnot. But yeah, I came through it from that angle. So it's interesting to hear that Stanley Turrentine was your real first
Oh, yeah.
big influence.
You hear it too. You can hear it in a minute.
I wanted to meet him so bad. That semester I did on exchange from home to the University of Miami, I wanted to meet him, and I had a trip planned to New York, and he died the month I got here
Oh my gosh.
during an engagement at the Blue Note, so like I just missed him.
Had you ever seen him perform?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, I mean, coming from Australia, just any
Yeah.
of those names I just listed, it was like that's just not even close to reality. Like from Australia, I mean, that's
Right.
just. I never thought I'd be sharing the stage with the people I have, like coming from such an isolated.
Do
spot.
you find that more and more jazz is happening in Australia now, or?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think it's always, at least, I think it's got a pretty long history of jazz happening from when.
Is it just too far to go? You know, for because it's not big budgets, or you know.
I think it's big. Yeah, I'd say so. But there are a lot of great Australian musicians you will never
Yeah.
hear about because they're not here. But
Right.
there's a really healthy scene.
And some
Sydney,
really nice
Melbourne,
singers
Brisbane,
also.
Perth.
I've been
Yeah.
checking out some really good singers.
Oh yeah, you let me hear that. There's a whole series of
Yeah.
Australian jazz vocalists.
Yeah, there's some really nice-
fantastic. So, Gary, you started teaching at UM what year?
1982,
Wow. So I'm going to put a few pics
the
on.
year Troy was born.
I was gonna say it was
I
kind
didn't
of
want to
like-
say it.
We were going to show a picture of in '82 of Troy, but you know it's a hospital. It's the what do you call that? When they show the picture of the inside.
Oh my God! It's sonogram.
Sonogram, yes. So tell us about your colleagues and some of the people that you worked with and performed with and brought to the university.
Well, we're retiring now one by one. Of course, that's Gary Lindsay, a
Yeah.
dear friend and great influence on me, and a marvelous writer. And his arrangement of John Coltrane's Giant Steps led to the Miami Saxophone Quartet, which I wouldn't say was my brainchild, but it was something that I'd always wanted to do. And when he wrote that arrangement, we said, well, who's going to play this, you know? And he said, well, we'll get Ed Kaye and Mike Brignola, and you know that was kind of the sax section around town for a long time. Me and Billy and Mike and Ed and a lot of times Gary.
Yep.
And one thing led to another. You know, that goes way back. That's like maybe the first time Maria visited school. You know, that would have been in the 90s, early 90s maybe.
Yeah.
Why this gentleman's
Claire.
name was Claire Fisher, yes, and got to play some with Claire on the concert. That's the rehearsal, but I definitely got to featured saxophone solo with him. It was nice.
And this one here, this like a
Jim
forum
Snydero,
or
yeah, that's a forum.
Mhm.
You know, you remember those? That would have been.
oh yeah,
I don't know. That was around 2000 because I know Phil Doyle was here, and that's Einar playing drums, and that's Jim Snydero who was visiting, and we were going at it on invitation, as I recall.
very cool. And so you had mentioned the Miami Sax Quartet. So what year
Yeah.
did that get started? And you guys recorded at least
We
one
have-
CD, right?
Oh, we have 5 albums
Holy cow! Okay.
every couple of years, but it's kind of slowed down now, you know, because Gary's left town, and well, everything's slowed down now. So,
Yeah.
Yes.
But you know, we made 5 records. We started in 2001, and actually our first concert was in November after 9/11.
Wow.
So we played a very poignant Gary Lindsay arrangement of "America the Beautiful." I remember it was,
Right.
yeah, it was a interesting time. Actually, now that I think about it, that might have been our second concert. Our first concert was Festival Miami the year before. That's right. And we premiered that arrangement, and then it was a hit. And so we said, well, let's keep this band together.
So if I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I love the sax quartet. I have to say, and it's like coming from me, that is the craziest thing to say because I am not the hugest fan of the saxophone. It's not like like oh.
Okay, I'll be taking over this interview from this point on.
They get in the
There's-
way, don't we?
There is something about you guys playing together and the arrangements and it's thrilling. It literally is thrilling to me
As
when
a
I
matter
hear.
of fact,
Yeah.
which one would you prefer that I show, Sweetbread or Twinkle? We'll do both, but which one would you like to see first?
It matters not.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe Sweetbread. I don't know.
Okay. This
Yeah.
is the
With the rhythm section, this one.
yes, this is a sax unit that even Wendy Peterson likes. That's how good they are.
It's the harmony. It's,
it's
Gary
so
Lindsay
good.
said
It's very
it's
cool.
barbershop quartet. He said it's barbershop.
It's so good.
That's interesting. Here we go.
I love that.
Yeah.
So good. It's so good.
Live.
I do want to say really quickly, we do this every week. We have a tip jar that goes directly to our musicians. So please support our musicians, show them some love. All you would have to do is text the word tip jar to the number 44321. You can choose any amount, but let's face it, we have not all been working too much in this past, almost year now. Wow. 7 months, 6
is
months, 7
hard to
months.
believe.
So, we would like, we usually pay our musicians to play for us on Monday nights, and, we're kind of having trouble with that. So, all of the money goes directly to Troy and to Gary tonight. So please, if you can, text the word tip jar to the number 44321. And just to make it even more exciting, we're going to have Troy play for you, so that we.
And by the way, I'm those of us, at least myself, who is gainfully employed during this time, I'm happy to donate my tips
Yes.
back to the co-op for musicians in need. So I can see somebody out there going, he doesn't need it.
Thank you very much.
Well, it's still a gig. You're still here on Monday night and doing everything that you need to do, just like you would if we
Exactly.
were, had a gig. But yeah, that's great. Thank you.
So, Troy Roberts, ladies and gentlemen.
Awesome.
Well, I was reading the comments, and I do have to embarrass Ron Miller by telling him he was a positive influence in my life. Definitely musically, and hang-wise also, but that's another conversation. Yeah, I'll play some music.
That's one of my favorite Cole Porter tunes.
Huh?
That's one of my favorite Cole Porter tunes. It's such a fun
That's
song.
a cool one.
Yeah, it's so fun to sing.
You missed it when you were playing. I'll just post it again.
Cheers, Ronnie.
It's hard to Ronnie is it's hard to overstate the influence that Ronnie has had on all of us from You know, back in the day, I guess you would have to say now, but so much of what I know about music I learned from Ron Miller.
Yep.
Ron and Gary Lindsay and Whit Seidner, especially about ensemble playing, you know, and precision and how to be musical and
Yeah, and it's funny. It's like I mean, time moves on and everything must change and all that, but you really do feel sad, like, oh, that the students today are not getting, Ron,
That's
like
true.
that, even though they're getting him from, the trickle down
The
theory.
lineage, yes.
Yeah, but it really is a different thing.
but they're getting other things from
Yes,
That's true.
other
yes,
people that we
That's
don't
true.
that so it's
that we didn't get. Yeah. I
yeah,
guess.
so it's life.
That's right.
is
The
life.
circle of life.
This-
Let's all sing, shall we?
Let's not get to the end of it too soon.
Right. By the way, we do want to mention that Gary really, really wanted to play live for you as well. However, he had a bit of an accident.
He got
and-
attacked.
Yeah, he got it. And his yes. So his finger isn't in playing condition.
Not quite yet, no.
so-
I need another week or two. Another week, I think, will do it.
You
But
can-
I'm
you
glad
can
it's
come
not
back.
worse than it was.
No, it could have been terrible, but
Yeah.
anyway, I bashed it, everybody, but it's okay. It's healing up.
Yeah.
Okay, so now let's just run through a few photos. Let's start with Troy. Just some of the people that you have met along the road of your career, and I'm sure there's way more to come. Oh, wait a minute. Hold on a second.
Rick Cass says Gary needs to hire someone to take out his trash bins.
So walk us through these, Troy.
Oh yeah, I guess I was. I would have been 15 or 16 maybe, playing in a youth jazz orchestra called the West Australian Youth Jazz Orchestra. It's a killing band, and they brought out a lot of guests, and it was a rare thing to have international guests, and one of the main ones was Frank Foster. He became a patron of the band. He came out a few times, and he was such a lovely gentleman, and he was very good to me and very encouraging, and I learned a lot from him.
Very cool.
Okay, that's when I first met Jeff Tane Watts. That was the year 2000, when he visited Perth with Branford Marsalis' quartet. And I didn't even tell him I'm a musician or anything. We were just chatting and hanging out. And fast forward, what is it? Fast forward 12 years. I moved to New York, 2011 or 12, and Jeff came to the Zinc Bar and caught my knee jive band, and sent me an email the next day. I didn't know he was there. And he sent me an email the next day saying, I caught your band, sound great. And I thought, I wonder if he remembers that I met him in Australia. And so I went and saw his gig the next night. His big band was playing at the Standard, and wanted to kind of meet him and maybe tell him that we actually met in Perth all those years ago. And he was talking to somebody else, and he saw me waiting, and he said, "What's up, Troy? It's just been a minute." And then he came over and said, "Yeah, man, you got your calendar on you? I need you for the Vanguard in September." It's like, wow, okay.
Love when that happens.
And had he remembered you?
Yeah, of course. He said, "Yeah, I remember meeting you." His memory is pretty incredible. It's, it's pretty scary.
There's a little story to go with that. You know, Troy was doing very well in Miami. How long you were here, Troy? How long? Like after you got out of school,
think
another
about
5-6 years.
Another 3 years, so 5
Oh,
years.
not that long. Okay, but
total.
yeah, and you know, I was coaxing him to move to New York. I mean, he was obviously talking about it, but he was cautious, and he said, "I don't know if I'll make enough money, and I don't know, you know, and I'm doing well here." And I said, "You got to go to New York, believe me." And I said, "Troy, I guarantee you go to New York, you're going to be on stage in the Vanguard in less than a year." And he said, "No way." And I think, when did you leave Miami?
Did you wager some money on that? Please tell me
I
that.
wish I had. And
Yeah, well, Gary won.
I won.
And he flew up for the show, too, I think.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Wow, that's
So,
amazing.
It took about 9 months, I think. I don't know. And yeah, and it happened. I knew it would happen.
Very cool.
Yeah, that's a great story.
And at International Jazz Day, you seem to have met quite a few people here.
Yeah, oh my gosh.
Yeah, well, I met Herbie and Wayne at the... Well, I didn't meet Wayne at the Thelonious Monk saxophone competition 2008, but Herbie remembered me. And so, yeah, his people called me to do International Jazz Day. And that was the week I was moving to New York. So that was... The one at the UN in 2012 was my first gig in New York as a resident.
Wow.
Wow.
And I met a lot of people there, and it was a really great head start for me.
Sure.
And then I got
let's-
to meet Wayne.
Right, and there's George Duke.
Oh my gosh.
George Duke was the MD that year. Well, he was MD for a couple of years until he died. I think he died 2 years after that.
What a
Right.
face.
He was so great.
And Stevie, of
That's with
course.
Stevie and Tineke Postma. She's a fantastic alto saxophonist from the Netherlands.
She was in the video, right?
Yes.
Or part of that clip, yeah.
Yeah.
And not to be left behind here, let's take a look real quick at some of Gary's sort of celebrity encounters and gigs and all that stuff. This is a slacker right here.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, yeah. Wow.
the chairman.
Yeah, well, he used to come to and do these Florida tours. You know, he would do like Miami and Jacksonville and Tampa and Orlando. And Peter Graves, who was another very important figure in my gig life here, has used me for a lot of things, including the Jaco Pastorius Big Band. But you know, those are the UM guys at the time. And yeah, it was fun to play with Frank. It was something that I'd always dreamed about, from somebody
Yeah.
from the big band generation, you know.
How was he to work with?
Well, he was very nice, but you know, when you play these, I've played hundreds of shows for singers, all the people, all his contemporaries, and basically they come to the end of the rehearsal and do a sound check, and then, you know, they hit the gig and then they leave.
Right.
So
Right,
you're not in his dressing room.
Of course, right.
Hanging out.
Right.
But he's very nice, you know.
Okay.
And he liked the band. That's Lee Konitz. That we met at a gig in Paris. That was in Paris.
And you had mentioned that Liebman was a big influence. I found this intriguing.
A very.
I did
big
not know he
influence.
played drums.
He plays drums great. Yeah, and we do this thing every summer. The International Associations of Schools of Jazz, and UM sends a student or two every year. And this is, I think this year it was in the Netherlands. It was in The Hague, and Dave is the artistic director of that group. So we always do some playing, a lot of playing during that week.
Cool. And I guess this would have been with the Jaco Big Band here?
Yeah, that's one of the tours. We went to Japan 3 times and played the Blue Note, and our drummer was Peter Erskine and various bass
bad.
players.
Yeah.
But that's Peter, yeah.
Richard Bona.
Richard Bona was with us, and you'll see if you show the other shot, Gerald Beasley and Jimmy Haslip, and we also used
Is that in there? That's.
Victor Wooten.
Oh,
and,
yeah, here we go. Hold
Yeah,
on a
we used
second.
them all by the time we were done. Yeah,
Yeah,
there's the
there you
band.
go.
The Miami Cats. We had
Yeah.
3 bass players on that trip.
I'm sure there's a joke in there somewhere.
It's a lot of bass solos.
Well, we're just getting back at you saxophonists.
Yes, it worked. It was fun. We had a great
See
time.
what it feels like now? Payback and karma and all that. Oh, I love this picture. Right here.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Gary Lindsay was hired to do the music, the horn arrangements of the string. I think the most in the music for Natalie Cole's An Espanol album.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the crew, you know. The sax quartet did the saxophone parts, and we just did them separately, you know, at a separate session.
Right.
No, the brass was there too, as I recall, and she was there. Yeah, what a sweet lady.
Yeah,
We
because a lot of
lost her
times
not
the
long
the
after
artists
that.
are not,
Yeah.
usually the artists are not there for the recording sessions.
Yeah, she was there.
Yeah, that's great.
Hey, so I'd love to watch to show this second movement of the Focus. Can you tell us about that piece? Because I recall reading liner notes about that, and my understanding was that was a piece, but the sax part is really not written, right?
There was no
general.
there was no saxophone part. So Eddie Sauter, who was a big arranger in the day, not just commercial, but somebody that, you know, the musicians all respected, did this piece that he wanted for Stan Getz, and he called it Focus, and basically it's 6 or 7 orchestral vignettes, and he just said, Stan, just come and listen to this and play over it. So there was never a saxophone part. There were never even chords. And
That's a bit of pressure, isn't it?
Well, I'm not for Stan Getz. It's incredibly beautiful. I mean, it's hard to come close to what he did, but he just carved a melody out of the whole thing, like somebody had written it. But actually, as it turned out, Stan's mother died like a week before the session, so they ended up recording the strings without him,
Oh.
and sent him the recording, I guess whatever they had in those days, the tapes, 1961. So he did have about a month to kind of listen to it and mess around with it. But there was never a written saxophone part.
And what did you get? Is that the way they
You get
approached it as well?
You get the score, and somebody had written out the chords over the score, but you basically get the string score, and the chords, most of them weren't quite right. So you play.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you did a marvelous job, and let's let the audience listen to this. This was at UM, right?
Yeah, this is with the Mancini Orchestra about, I don't know, 5 or 6 years ago.
Second movement of Focus. Wow, that is stunning. Really
Gorgeous.
amazing.
Yes, yes, yes.
Beautiful.
Thank you. I keep thinking, like, what would Troy sound like on that?
Oh my God.
Like, I don't think so.
No.
Yeah. He'll have a chance to play
that
it, I'm
was
sure.
outrageously good. I'm sorry.
I love the fact
you.
that Troy brought you over to Australia. When was this at?
That was 2008, the summer of 2008. Yeah, so I wanted to bring Gary over to do a string of gigs, a little bit of a West Australian tour.
Yeah.
Did a few workshops and clinics, but mostly some concerts at some clubs, jazz societies, and yeah.
He had me running from like the
Oh,
minute I
it
got
was
off
pretty
the
mean.
plane.
He was busy.
Oh my God, it was the worst jet lag I'd ever experienced.
That is a
It was
brutal
pretty
trip.
Crazy. That's
Yeah.
a brutal trip, yeah. And but anyway, we had a great time.
We have some footage
was
from
wonderful.
that, as it turns out.
Oh yeah, cool.
News. It's hot and sunny today. I mean, hot within winter standards in Australia. And notice that everything's still backwards. Point that thing out the window, and I'm gonna get killed. I'm on the left-hand side of the car, all ready for everybody to like drive into me at any moment. I push the brake when it's time to slow down. I look for the steering wheel.
I just get the last phrase. What are these? Yes, I heard that.
How about the vibrato, Troy? You want a lot of vibrato or not so much vibrato? How does she sing?
Not so much.
Yeah, not so much. Every time.
We're in for a fantastic gig tonight with Troy and with Gary, and they'll be accompanied with Conrad Petkutsky on piano, Matt Willis on bass, and Daniel Sussinger on drums. So please put your hand together and welcome them to the stage. Thank you.
was a lot of saxophone.
Yeah.
I can't
Sorry,
believe
Wendy.
you. No. I can't believe you let him drive. Like, that's just
Oh
so.
my God.
On a deserted road for a
Oh,
little
okay.
bit.
Oh my God.
But I'm ready when I go back, which we will definitely go back. I'm gonna go for it.
How weird. Had you ever done that before? Did you do that in
No.
London, for example? No.
No, I know. I've been to London. I just careful crossing the road. That's all.
Yeah, even
Right?
that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty weird. But they when the Australians and the British come here, they just hop right into cars and drive. It doesn't seem to bother them a bit, but it doesn't
Well,
work.
they couldn't
both
drive any
ways.
worse than we do.
I don't know. It's pretty strange, but I think if you're actually driving, you get used to it.
Yeah, of course, yeah. I wanted to talk a little bit to Troy about because I know you have your own group that you record under the New Jive, and do you have a preference? But you're all, I was going to say you're also touring with as a sideman with, I know, Kurt Elling, with Joey DiFrancesco. Do you have a preference of? Do you like the pressure of being the front person or?
Yeah, I'm just fortunate to kind of play all kinds of music. New Jive, the nature of that music is to kind of fulfill what I don't get in my sideman schedule.
Okay.
Yeah, it's kind of very personal to me, and it's kind of draws on all my influences. Obviously not jazz, not just jazz.
Right.
There's everything in there, but of course I'm not stuck to any one style. I love playing all kinds of music, so I'm blessed to tour with the people I do as a sideman.
Yeah.
But yeah, the older I get, I'm trying to really prioritize my own stuff. I mean, in whatever way I can.
And when you sit down to write, do you sit down to write, or does an idea come to you? Do you kind of like have to hash it out, or?
I have one rule is to just whenever I have an idea, wherever I am, I'll sing it into my phone just to capture it. Because it's just amazing how many ideas are just gone forever. When you
It's
think,
true.
Oh, I'll write that down tonight. Gone. So
is
yeah,
so
I
true.
capture, and then whenever I have time or I feel like writing, the first step is just transcribing all those ideas into Sibelius or on paper, and I put them in a folder. And sometimes the process of transcribing those ideas leads to, no, now I'm hearing this, and it turns into a composition. Sometimes it goes absolutely nowhere, but I do it anyway. And yeah.
So you have a drawer full of unfinished stuff that you
Do
you ever revisit?
Yeah, I do actually. This album I just put out earlier this year, it's called Stuff I Heard. And that's all drawn from old ideas that were in
That's
those
very
folders, and I try to make music of it.
Finally ready to complete them.
Yeah, because that's what the folder's called on my hard drive, Stuff I Heard in my head.
Oh, that's good. But it is true, like there are times when it's not time for that idea. Like I do have like mine for me is like kind of hooks. Like I'll come up with a lyric idea, and like it could be years before I write the song. It's just whenever that's that time to write the song, whenever it's going to come out. But I'm also not very prolific. But
Man, lyrics though, I admire you guys. And gals, I just I've tried a couple of times and it was woefully awful. Lyrics, man.
Well, it's because you don't want to sound, banal. You don't want to sound like, just so boring to rehash the same thing that everybody said way better than you, 100 times. But at the same time, basic emotions are pretty simple. So when you try to get too flowery or too poetic, then it comes across as being, I don't know, fake. So it is definitely something interesting to kind of, find the right words for a simple idea.
Yeah.
Or simple words for a complex idea. But you want to play something? What do you got?
Yeah,
lined
I
up?
wanted to talk a little bit about. I find this super intriguing. It's funny, again, what you find out about people when you have them on a show like this, and you discover these parts of their personality and interest. Tell us about the claymation thing.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah,
This
I
is
mean, I've
awesome.
kind of always been fascinated by I don't know, just little creative.
To me, that's
things
like
that.
Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. Every Christmas you're watching it, that kind of. It's just
Oh
funny to
man,
see.
it's stop motion. It takes a
Yes.
lot of time. But yeah, sometimes if I have not much on, I'll just get in the zone, and I love playing with Play-Doh and making little characters and figures, and then it's awesome just to kind of watch it come to life. By
So
taking
you did a video.
buttload of photos, essentially.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
So we have
I've
this-
made a couple. And
And how long does it take to do a video?
The 2 times I've done it successfully, I think I started around 5 p.m. and ended at about 10 a.m. the next day.
Now, when you say you've done it successfully, what was the unsuccessful attempt? Did the Play-Doh just fall apart, or what
Just
happened?
things not working out. Like I did one in the day, and the light was changing by the time it got to evening, and it was all sorts of things can go wrong. And then like if you wait too long, the Play-Doh kind of gets hard, and then they don't look the same as when you started. And, yeah, it's weird.
Boy, that Play-Doh aged 10 years.
Yeah.
Well, let's take a look at your handiwork here, shall we?
Yes.
Oh, this is the first one. I didn't
Okay.
know a lot about it, but yeah.
That's a disclaimer right off the bat.
It came out good though.
Here we go.
good.
Thank you.
Wow.
Creative
Oh
guy,
my-
man.
Yeah. Super creative.
But I'm gonna say that was not Play-Doh.
Oh, that was it was it was Crayola model magic.
Oh, okay. Because Play-Doh doesn't seem that vibrant, the colors and stuff. But
Oh, model magic's awesome. Yeah, those colors are
Okay.
really great.
that's so amazing. I would like to see.
I'm a little surprised that during, the whole COVID thing, you just didn't have a whole series.
Oh man, I bought like about 2 buckets full of stuff of Play-Doh during the 5 months I was just in Australia during the
Yeah.
lockdown, and I had all these plans of making stuff at my parents' house while I was laying around, but I didn't get around to it.
That's just how it is. I have a juggling kit at home that I got for Christmas, and I've been meaning to get to it. I will. Hey, let's keep the music going here with the Miami Sax Quartet doing Twinkle Twinkle Little Star. Is there anything we need to know about this, Gary?
No, the whole one or the three movements, the
it's-
last movement?
No, I think it's the last one.
Yeah, by Ed Kaye's
Yes.
arrangement. Yeah, it's the third movement of a 3-movement piece.
Here we go.
That was all 3 movements, yeah.
Oh, was it? Okay.
Yeah.
Man, that's killing.
Ed did 1 and 3, and Gary did 2.
So good.
Yeah. Well, I'm from the ensemble generation, you know. That's like, that was when I grew up, you know, your bread and butter was being able to play in a saxophone section.
Yeah.
Right.
And any other kind of section, but, you know, just section work was a big deal.
It's fun too. It really is. It gives you a different thing than you know, being out front. I love doing the quartet stuff that we did when we were doing that. It's definitely a different thing.
So I'm going to go through a few more photos of each of you because we haven't scratched the surface of people that you've
Of the
played
careers.
with and all that. So we'll just quickly go through them so people can get an idea of the breadth of your careers.
Yeah, so you work a lot doing duos with Mike Gerber.
Off and on, yes, since we were students. Goes all the way back to the late 70s, actually.
Wow.
'Cause he was in the Mike Gillis band for a minute. Yeah, Mike, just unbelievable talent. And
Yeah,
just so much fun to play with. He can follow you anywhere.
that is true. He's got ears the size of, I don't know, Texas.
It's a real treat. I'm just glad he likes to play with me. Joe Lovano and Jason Cush, who did his doctoral thesis on this crazy instrument that you might be going to show.
Is that the one that Troy was in?
No,
the picture?
I don't know. That's this holochrome thing. But
yes, yeah, I'm going to show
yeah.
that. Hold on a second.
because Joe was playing it. My friend Francois Louis, who builds my mouthpieces, and I use his reeds and ligatures.
Hold on, here it is.
There, yeah.
He invented this crazy thing.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's a double saxophone.
That's like what Joe Donato does, just for fun.
Quite the beast. Yeah.
It's before the operation, right? The
Yeah.
Siamese twin thing, yeah.
Instead of separating them, they put them together. It's quite an instrument. Anyway, you can find out about it online.
Did you play it? Does it make any kind of sense whatsoever?
It's
just two things together.
It's very difficult, but it's got common key work.
Oh.
But so you're doing, like the different things with
there's
each
two
hand.
keys for every note, one on top of each other. So if you press the top key, it's like a saxophone keyboard, but if you press the top key, the left hand plays, and if you press the bottom key, the right hand plays.
Ooh,
and if
sounds
you press
complicated.
both keys, both hands sides play.
Wow.
So you got 3 possible notes on every key.
And you hit all 3 at the same time?
You do whatever you want to do, but it's
Wow, that's crazy.
it's pretty crazy.
Has that been used for anything? I mean,
It's been used. It was premiered by a legit guy who played a piece, an amazing piece on it. He practiced it for like a year. There's only one of them. He's never built another. He's trying to get somebody to manufacture, but it probably won't happen. But anyway, and Joe Lovano's used it many times, actually. He's used it on a couple of his records. He's the one that is the caretaker of it because he gets to play it. Because
Wow.
Joe and Francois are very tight.
got it.
My
This is
daughter, and
You
that
and
was
your
that
daughter.
was a legit concert playing the Villa-Lobos saxophone concerto of the Fantasia, and nice
Very
pick.
nice. And
This is you in Cuba.
Yeah, Aldo took me to Cuba last May or the May before. I don't know. Time is kind of standing still. Fascinating. It was like Troy's trip to Australia, but only for a week, and we went all around. All the insider stuff, none of the tourist stuff.
Right. Very cool.
did you do clinics and all that as well?
I did 2 or 3 clinics, and we played every night somewhere.
Wow, very, very cool. And let's head on over to Troy, to Troy's side. I'm just sort of jumping around because I'm telling you, these guys have given me so many pictures that you have no idea. So we just want to at least have you see them.
And so,
I mean, Chris Potter
yeah.
was
did you
at
do
the North Sea
Yeah.
Jazz Festival. He
Very
played after
cool.
us.
And so when something like this happens, Troy, is that kind of cool, or did you not realize that he was sitting there?
I knew he was there. That's Dave
Dave
Sanborn
Sanborn.
sitting right in the front. Came to my gig to check me out. I was terrified. But he was such a sweet guy. The next day I went over his place and we had lunch and
Oh, wow.
talked saxophones all afternoon. And yeah.
Did you sell him on that Allura phone or whatever it's called, the double sax?
Nah, but
Didn't
he
work.
would probably be interested.
And was he and somebody that influenced you at all? I mean,
Yeah.
that was
There's a handful of albums, Dave Sanborn albums, that my dad had in the house that I absolutely loved, and that I learnt a lot of ballads from. Specifically, an album called Pearls, which I really love. And I think Vince Mendoza did the arrangements.
Oh, well,
sure.
you can't go wrong there.
Yeah.
Oh man.
George, yeah. George Benson is really tight with Joey DiFrancesco, so I think that was during a week engagement at the Jazz Bistro in St. Louis.
Nice.
Yeah, he was playing that weekend, and so he came early and to check us out, and epic hang after the gig, and he was just telling us all these great stories about some awesome stories about riding Broadway, and how it's the only tune he knew was going to be a hit before it was a hit.
Well, there you go. He was right.
And yeah, just playing in Benny Goodman's band back in the day, and all these crazy stories related to that.
Nice.
And I got to hang with him a few times, actually, because he lives in Phoenix, near Joey. And that's with Jimmy Heath. I can't remember where that was. But he was such a funny guy, just always joking. But then, like a wealth of knowledge, dropped some serious knowledge on us.
Now, this next picture is an interesting one because people don't really know that Joe Pesci.
Oh, yeah, Joe.
Yeah.
Yeah, Joe is a massive jazz fan. He's a singer too.
Yeah.
And he has a band. He's had a band for years, right?
Yeah.
And he's recorded records and everything.
He sounds
under
great.
the name Joe Dogs. Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
And yeah, he sounds really close to Little Jimmy Scott, if you've ever checked him out.
Yeah, for sure.
I think they were pretty tight.
And I think this picture here is my favorite picture of you, Troy.
Yeah, well, that happens on gigs with Joey. I'd play some bass whenever he would play piano or the saxophone.
Very cool.
Yeah, I think his new band at the moment is with another organ player. So it's like double organ, and he's playing a lot more saxophone, and he sounded great.
And here you are with Kurt.
Yeah, I love playing with that guy.
I got to see you at the Arts Center last year.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah. I was very excited.
That was Jonathan Blake on drums before, and this is Jared Schoenig on drums. That's I think that was the first time I played with Kurt, like 2015 at the Carlisle. He did a Frank Sinatra tribute.
And a couple more here.
Some more slacker bass players.
More slacker bass players. Yeah, this is the slacker bass player convention you attended.
Yeah,
so
this was oh man, I picked these guys' brains about playing the bass. We had great chats. But that's at Monterey Jazz Festival, if I remember correctly. Christian Batitucci, and that's Susan Brecker.
Cool.
Yeah, it was an awesome hang.
So fun.
And
that was International Jazz Day in Osaka, Japan, 2014. James Genus and John Schofield. I had a great hang with John. He had lots of stories, and him and his wife were a hoot. They were very kind to me. And James, I know from playing in Tane's band. We've worked together a lot over the years.
And then one more weak bassist here, Marcus.
No, actually, I just remember this. So that's Sheila E. as well.
Yes.
But Marcus, so we were setting up at sound checking and all that, and Marcus checking his bass. And he turns around to me, and I was about to say, "Hey, Marcus, I'm Troy. Nice to meet you." And he turns around to me and starts playing Convertible Bert, one of my tunes.
Oh, my goodness.
From New Jive.
That must have felt pretty good.
And he ends up playing, what's this one called again? And he's playing it. And I was like, Convertible Bert. And he goes, yeah, man, bad album. We got a hit.
That
was the first time I played with him.
Very, very cool. And then Joshua.
Oh, Josh Redman. He was also so cool to me. He checked out our whole set at I don't know where that was, Detroit Jazz Festival, I think. He was playing after us. He got there early and checked out the whole set, and then he came up to me and said, "Man, I wish I could play half the things you play on the saxophone."
Well, there you go.
What?
If they stay the whole set, you must have done something right.
Well, that's
true. Man, he sounded so great, and we talked about catching up when he's next in the city, but then COVID happened.
And then and here's one last pick.
Oh, Gary Bartz, I first got to meet in Australia many years ago, and we've stayed in touch over the years. In fact, he wrote me a great letter for my green card application back in the day. But this is at North Sea Jazz Festival. That's Ravi Coltrane and Gary Bartz. Very, very cool people.
Very nice. So, yeah.
Well, I was going to ask you a little bit about when you decided to put your band together. How did you decide the personnel, and did you know what it was going to be from the start?
Well, with New Jive, that's my quartet and my organ trio. There's a kind of like a rotating pool of people I love to play with, but New Jive is very specific. I was playing with all those guys in different cliques around Miami back in the day. Totally different circles of music and gigs, but they were all my kind of some of my favorite musicians. Like, they were my brothers too.
Right.
And I don't think Silvano had met Dave and Eric. Eric and Dave hadn't played too much together at that time, and of course Tim was brand new. He joined the band later. First it was a quartet, so I wasn't sure it was going to work, but I had written all this music with them specifically in mind, and I'd lined up 6 weeks worth of 6 gigs and then a recording session. So I was dropping a bunch of money, not really sure if it was going to work.
Gotta do what you gotta do.
It just came together. The first hit was just, I was so happy it just worked.
We are going to show a video of you in the Ukraine, which I want you to tell us a little bit about. But before, I'm just curious, Gary, what's it like when you're, as a teacher, when you get a student that you recognize has serious talent?
What's it like? Well,
yeah, do you, is that just sort of a special...
Have you ever had one?
Yeah. I've had quite a few, but I have to say Troy is on the short list. You just kind of just sit back and watch, and students have a lot of questions, and they listen. You show them what they want to know, and maybe throw in a few pointers. I don't know. It's hard to explain. I mean,
right.
You'd have to ask Troy. But we have a lot of similar influences, and we play the saxophone kind of similarly in terms of just the way we blow and our concept of playing the instrument. So it's kind of, from the beginning, was more of just a hang.
Right. That's very cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
And Troy, from your end?
Oh man, Gary's a wealth of knowledge. He was always just so giving as a teacher. I didn't have to coax much out of him. He was just very matter of fact about what I needed to work on, or what he heard and what he didn't hear, and picked up on my weaknesses. Kind of showed me.
I don't recall any weaknesses.
Oh no, definitely were. Like the kind of academic side of playing music, I didn't really have together, and Gary just kind of like switched that.
Yeah.
It's kind of switched that side of music on for me, and I think gave me a better balance of kind of just using my ears and making informed decisions.
Right.
And do you enjoy the teaching as well?
I do. Yeah, it's been a long time since I've taught, if there's one school I would do it at, it's Frost. The level is great. My students are awesome. Doing one class based on composition. I love writing, so
yeah,
I'm having a blast.
Very cool. So we're going to sort of end it, and we'll come back and say goodnight to you all. But tell us about this clip in Ukraine, and I'm intrigued about the introduction.
Oh yeah. Well, wherever we go around the world, I try to do all my announcing in the language of where we are. Doesn't always happen because some languages are very, very hard. But I worked really hard on Ukrainian before we went to Ukraine. I'd been there a year earlier with Joey DiFrancesco. We played the same festival, which is where I had the most horrible experience of my life. The festival manager overlooked the small fact that I'm Australian. At the time, I wasn't a dual citizen. I was a green card holder. So, US citizens don't need a visa, but Australians do.
Oh.
And so, we had a tight connection. It was a busy tour, and we landed in Kiev. We had a connection to Dnipro, and so we're going through customs, and they wouldn't let me through. They were like, visa? I don't have a visa. And so he just told me the guy just told me to leave, and they were really cold. And the guys had already gone through, so I couldn't call them back.
Oh my God.
And they wouldn't let them back through to help me. And yeah, I ended up getting stuck in Kiev for 14 hours. Well, I was 14 hours trying to sort something out. And my luggage was through, so I didn't have my phone charger. My phone was running out.
God.
These military computers were the only place that we could sort out a visa, and it was all in Ukrainian. So it was like, luckily there was a guy that was in there 4 hours already that had just been hitting buttons and hit and miss and figuring out what was yes, no, save, print, and he helped me out. Ended up getting a hotel. They ended up getting me a hotel next to the airport. I stayed overnight, and I got the next flight the next day, and arrived in time for the sound check. Got some food, played the show, and I was pretty angry.
I can imagine.
And I kind of let it, not very professional of me, but I let it be known, and I think they felt very bad about that, and they invited. Oh, and while I was kind of getting angry at this person, there were all these New Jive fans standing around, these kids, some Russians and some Ukrainians. They had my album and they wanted me to sign it. And so this person was really embarrassed that the situation had turned out how it had for me, and had also seen all these fans there for my band, and she was like, well, we're booking your band next year. And so that was this clip you're gonna see.
And it didn't happen again.
Huh?
It didn't happen
they
again.
got me.
Yeah.
Well, there's two Australians in the band, so they made sure
all
our
right.
visas were together.
I'm sure
well
that was
in
the first thing
advance.
that you made sure they took care of.
Yes.
All right, let's
Wow.
take a look at the clip.
Nasz ensemble Svetsa, New Jive. Nasi muzykanti, na basy Eric England. Na klawisznik Sylvana Monasterius. Na gitary Tim Jago. Na utarnik David Shiverton. Ja Troy Roberts na saxofony. Witajmy всіх вас і запрошуємо придбати наші диски. Дуже дякуємо. До наступної зустрічі. Піс, слава Україні!
Oh yeah.
Thank you.
That is some exciting music.
More energy, man. More energy.
No, I saw you guys play. I guess at Mocha a couple years ago
Oh,
when
okay.
you guys and it's just really exciting music. It's
thank
so
you.
tight and it's so good. Yeah, very very good.
Use guys.
You guys, yeah.
I mean, you have to say that. I mean, it's kind of in the theme of the whole show. This sort of circle and the lineage of things. You sound fantastic, Troy, and it comes from Gary, and of course, for Gary, it goes back to someone else. It's so cool to have this kind of setup where we see the lineage right before our very eyes.
Yeah, it's cool. It's cool for me to see too.
Yeah, thank you, and Gary, thank you. For
Thank
39
you.
years
Oh, wow.
of producing, and
Amazing.
honing talent.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
an impressive list. I'm proud of it.
Yeah, you should be. Well, thank you for spending your Monday night with us and playing and talking and bragging and showing off. It's always so fun to see the amazing things that people got going on. I love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
It could not have been more fun. And so now, everybody knows well, we probably didn't get to the skeletons, but they certainly have an insight into your careers. And
So the next show we'll find out the skeletons.
right, we definitely have to do it. Anyway.
Thank you so much for having us. We had a blast.
Yeah. Oh, you
Wendy
know,
and
I wanted to ask you, Troy. So what you just released an album. What have you got coming up?
Well, I actually just recorded a new album with Tim Jago.
Okay.
He actually just wrote on here.
Yeah.
We recorded an album in Australia about a few months ago while we were there on lockdown, and it's going to be really cool. I mean, it sounds awesome. We just got to get it mixed and find out a way to put it out. It's an album full of contrafacts. Half the tunes are his, half of them are mine. All contrafacts based on standards and some pretty quirky titles.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Very cool. And Gary, this is your swan song year?
Well, it is.
Can't wait for the big retirement party.
Well, yeah, it's kind of
When we can have big parties.
Yeah, when we have someday. But yeah, I'm looking forward to definitely making another album.
That's great.
Long awaited.
Or maybe more.
Great. Well,
Exactly.
we'll come back and do if we're still in this format, we'll do the release parties. But hopefully that will not be the case.
No, we'll do a live show with everybody's
Yes.
CD releases.
Yes, we will.
Ideally.
Yeah. Well, thank you guys so much. It's been a pleasure getting to know you more.
Thank you for having us.
Thanks.
Gary Keller and Troy Roberts,
Woo-hoo!
everyone.
Yes, indeed. So once again, another Monday night is finished and done and in the can. Hopefully not in the can, but you know what I mean. Wanted to let you know, as always, we like to tell you who our partners are in this grand scheme of jazz and conversation, and it is my pleasure to always thank and support the Gold Coast Jazz Society. They do amazing shows every year. They always have this amazing season, and it'll be interesting to see what is going to happen, with all of these different jazz societies, coming up. We've got the Sunshine Jazz Organization, and of course South Florida Jazz, and the Miami Jazz Cooperative. And you can find all of those, if you check on their website, they're always doing things and supporting different things. And so I would love for you to go check out their websites, goldcoastjazz.org or southfloridajazz.org or sunshinejazz.org or miamijazz.org. Lots of jazz orgs, and we're very lucky in Miami and South Florida to have such great support and such great musicians, and such great music. It's so much great music in general. So want to let you know what's coming up. We have yet another sax player next week. Sax player and singer,
just for you,
and band leader. The talented Greg Diaz. So that's going to be fun because we're going to get to talk about his singing and his playing and his writing and arranging, because he really does. He's like such a man of many talents. So we look forward to that next Monday. The following Monday,
closing out November.
Oh my God, my head just exploded. Closing out November is the amazing Hendrik Merkins, the world's tallest jazz harmonica harmonica player, not a harmonica sax, because I don't even know if that exists, but a harmonica player. And he is fantastic and just a funny guy. So that's going to be a lot of fun. And then, crazily enough, December starts, and so we'll talk to you about what's going to happen in December. So thank you so much for joining us tonight. Have a fantastic